Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter and on Vero at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily. As you know, I'm in the UK staying at my sister's house. Very difficult to do daily videos, but I am trying, and I've really been on cold turkey not being able to do a video yesterday because I really want to react to the reaction of the new Batgirl costume. The reaction has been despicable, it has been planned, and these people who hate this costume don't really hate it. It's all part of the propaganda, but if you thought the people making the Batgirl film were going to stay quiet, then you are wrong. So obviously you've all seen the costume. Personally, I think it's great. First of all, this is Barbara's first costume. She's made it herself. Do you remember how shit Tom Holland's costume was, right? Yeah, it looked very amateur. You remember when Tony Stark in Spider-Man Homecoming took away the suit that he made for Tom's Spider-Man and he was wearing some rubbish homemade one, right? Well, first of all, the Batgirl costume we saw is leaps and bounds better than that, right? We're going to get another one, right? But the point being, it's not a bad Batgirl costume. But of course, the propaganda merchants are not going to leave anything alone. Anyway, one of the directors has actually responded. His name is Adil El Arbi, and I agree with his response. And this is from Brendan Kim of Screen Rant. Batgirl director responds to costume criticism with Batman slap meme. Now, I actually loved this. I thought this was hilarious. Batgirl director Adil El Arbi responds to criticisms towards the film's new Batgirl costume by posting the Batman slapping Robin meme, which I think is brilliant. Batgirl director Adil El Arbi responds to criticisms levelled towards the film's Batgirl costume by posting the popular Batman slapping Robin meme. The film itself stars Leslie Grace in the titular role as the daughter of Commissioner James Gordon, J.K. Simmons, and a sidekick of the Dark Knight himself, Michael Keaton. Brendan Fraser is also set to star as one of the film's antagonists, a murderous pyromaniac named Firefly. Batgirl is said to be the first dceu film to premiere exclusively on HBO Max following Warner Bros.' decision to utilise the service as a premium platform for their superhero content. By the way, I still think that Batgirl could be moved to movie theatres. We'll have to wait and see for that. Grace unveiled a first look at her Batgirl costume on Instagram. In the vein of recent dceu superhero designs, Batgirl's vividly yellow and purple costume is a clear homage to the traditional comic depictions of the character. Despite the comic accurate look, fans online have been quick to criticise the costume's quality, saying that the bright colours and material make it look like a fan-made cosplay. I didn't see that when I saw the costume, but as I say, when people purposely want to hate on something when they don't even hate something, you know, the Fandom Menace have also got involved in this. The Fandom Menace don't like this project probably because it's played by a woman of colour. We know where they're coming from, so they have an agenda as well. Some of the Snyderverse fans have also weighed into this. We know their agenda as well. While Grace herself has yet to comment on these criticisms, director El Arbi has been quick to address them. On his Instagram story, El Arbi posted an image of the iconic Batman slapping Robin meme. In the empty speech bubbles, he tells detractors of the costume to STFU and wait for the film. Check out the full image below. I think this is great, and you can take a look at this if you can see this. And I think this is absolutely fantastic by one of the directors of the Batgirl movie. Wait till you watch the damn movie. But it's not genuine people who are hating on this or being, you know, constructive about their criticism. This is people with an agenda. There's a very exciting year for all DC fans this year. 4 movies on the big screen. Another one with Batgirl on HBO Max. They know it's an exciting year. They know there's no Snyderverse projects planned, and that's what all this is about. And people are sick of these people spoiling this excitement for the rest of us DC fans who are excited about this. Despite the comedic nature of the meme, El Arbi has a point. Promotional images often fail to capture the complete effect that a costume has while in motion. The harsh lighting and shadows in the original image may also lend a more fan-made feel to the costume. But you know what? I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that when I saw the picture. In fact, when I first saw the picture, I was very excited. It's only when people start to be negative, it's kind of implanted in your head, isn't it? But as we've already discussed, this is not her main costume, right? If it was, and there was so much outrage like there was with the Sonic the Hedgehog CGI VFX, they would change it. But the point is, it's a homemade costume. And it looks pretty cool to me for a homemade costume. These are people working off an agenda. These are professionals and they do it all the time. One that may be reminded with the more intricate, precise lighting reserved for cinematic productions. Obviously, Grace's performance as Batgirl will also have a significant impact on the costume's believability as well. Context and execution is key when it comes to bringing fantastical images to life on the big screen. It's a bit like Sasha Calle's new Supergirl costume. People were going into that. By the way, I think Sasha's costume is beautiful. I think it looks great. But you know where these people are coming from. It's all off the back of an agenda. With Keaton confirmed to fulfill the role of Batman after Ben Affleck's departure from the role in 2022's The Flash, it remains unclear how Batgirl will tie into previous films in the DCEU chronology. Set photos have revealed that the events of Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice are canon. We spoke about this the other day. The Snyderverse is canon, even though you've been believing leaks from other people with agendas that the Snyderverse will not be canon going forward. Again, more evidence. Already spoke about that. Where are we? Events of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice are canon to the unknown extent. Specifically, the bombing of the US Capitol building by Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg. Significant changes are afoot in the DCEU and Batgirl will be among the first productions to usher them in. Now, to me, that's very, very exciting. If you are excited for the new brave world, the brave new world of the DC Extended Universe, keep on being excited. Do not let these people ruin your excitement. And now other people within their kind of movements are getting upset with these people as well. So, the truth is there now. There's a lot of negativity on the internet, but the internet is an artificial world. We actually do still live in the real waking world where these people have no influence whatsoever. You know what I say? Ignore them and bring on this brave new DC Extended Universe world. Robert Pattinson on his Batman suit. The difference from the conventional bat suits is that you can see the feeling of use. You can see that he's wearing and fighting every night in it. It is a very practical suit with bullet holes and scratches here and there. And I actually love this element of it. There seems to be a little bit of an article here. I don't know if it's relevant, but we will tap into it. We won't read it because it's in Chinese, so we won't be doing that. But yeah. This is what I like about the Batman. It's going to be a grounded film. It's a brand new take. It's a fresh take. And I think that's exciting. Because if we're just going to repeat Batfleck or Keaton Batman or any of those in this brand new Batman, why bother watching? Why not just put the Blu-ray in the machine or go on a streaming service and watch the stuff that's already been made? There's no one better than Matt Reeves to be working on this project. And I can't wait until March. Now let's get on to Peacemaker, which is the latest DC project streaming on HBO Max. This is written and directed by our very own James Gunn, who of course wrote and directed 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Peacemaker's Batman insult almost wasn't approved by DC. Series creator James Gunn says DC initially balked at a profane Peacemaker joke calling superhero Batman's toughness into question. by Dan Zezinski of Screen Rant. James Gunn says DC almost didn't approve that hilarious Peacemaker Batman insult. Gunn's The Suicide Squad spin-off has finally arrived on HBO Max, with John Cena back in the role of DC Comics Peacemaker. It's obviously too early to tell what Peacemaker Season 1 will ultimately do story-wise, but it's already certain that the show is willing to go just about anywhere when it comes to profanity and raunchiness. The first installment of Peacemaker indeed threw down the gauntlet on content by going to a shocking place in referring to other characters from the DC universe. At one point in the episode, Peacemaker gets into an argument about Aquaman, who is treated as a real person inside the Peacemaker universe, that sees him accusing Arthur Curry of engaging in unnatural acts with fish. Later, Peacemaker claims Superman has a poop fetish, then gets into an argument about Batman that sees him hilariously calling the Cape Crusader a poopy for not killing people. It's perhaps no surprise to learn that DC took some issue with Peacemaker lobbing such heinous insults at other famous characters from the pages of their comics. As series creator Gunn explained, THR's Top 5 podcast via TV Line, DC had a particular problem with Peacemaker's Batman insult and admitted to being puzzled by their line of reasoning when it came to what crossed the line and what didn't. I was very surprised because they were not too fond of Peacemaker calling Batman a poopy. I'm like, but he talks about all these other terrible things about all these other superheroes that are much worse than calling Batman a poopy. Not only that Batman is the only... Oh, it's not a poopy, it's something else, we won't use that word. Not only that Batman is the only one he makes a fair point about. Everybody else, he's really just believing stuff that he read on the internet. Everything that he believes is kind of nonsense, and Batman is the only one has a point of view on that makes any sense whatsoever. I don't know why him calling Batman P-U-S-S-Y is potentially more offensive than him saying Superman has a poop fetish. I don't understand why one was brought up and one wasn't. Right, I will explain this to you after the article, because there's a point to this. But despite their occasional objections to some of his more over-the-top humour, Gunn insists DC were great overall, adding they let me get away with what I got away with at the end of the day. Of course, it's natural to expect a show like Peacemaker to have some fun with other characters in the DC universe, given that it's trying to be funny and irreverent, but for the show to flat out clown on characters like Batman and Aquaman in a truly profane and insulting way is perhaps a little surprising, even with no holds barred writer-director like Gunn at the helm. But the thing is, it's not a surprise. He's doing it on purpose. It's his way of saying that these characters exist in this DC show, and that's fine. Ultimately, it's rather refreshing to realise that Peacemaker is willing to have fun with the DC universe and perhaps even flirt with going over the line in some of its insults. The humour of the show indeed puts it squarely in the same space as movies like The Suicide Squad, no surprise, and Birds of Prey, comedic romps that do feature some amount of character development but don't feel super wedded to the rest of the DCEU. That DC is willing to let Gunn go to the places he goes in Peacemaker clearly bodes well for the future of the DC universe on HBO Max and in theatres, as it proves that the company is willing to let creative people be creative and bring their own unique spins to the various characters and storylines they tackle, even if that means other DC characters sometimes take it on the chin in the process. They're just fun, it's just banter, it's not a big deal. The reason they weren't triggered by the insults hurled at Superman, and they were triggered, DC, by the insults hurled at Batman, because Batman is their #1 character right now, and he has been for years. So they're very protective of Batman, and they're more protective of Batman than they are of Superman. They should be protective of their grade A characters, of the Holy Trinity, that is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and they were right to question this, but I don't think it's a big deal. It's all in the name of entertainment, and it's totally fine. James Gunn's next DC project is another television show. Following his work on HBO Max's Peacemaker, writer-director James Gunn reveals that his next DC project will be another television show. I told you this months ago. Once he saw what happened with the Suicide Squad movie, didn't make too much money, but the critical response and the fan response was great for the movie. It's a really, really great movie. He realised with DC, his best the best place for him is HBO Max, and he's pretty much saying that as well. This is by Josh Planisi of Screen Rant. Following his work on HBO Max's Peacemaker, James Gunn has revealed that his next DC project will be another television show best known for breathing life into Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy. Writer-director Gunn introduced a slew of new characters to the DCEU with the Suicide Squad. One of those misfits was Christopher Smith. Peacemaker John Cena now has his own spin-off series which premiered its first 3 episodes on January the 13th. Peacemaker also sees Jennifer Holland and Steve Agee reprise their roles as Amelia Harcourt and John Economos from the Suicide Squad. New additions include Robert Patrick as Augie Smith, Danielle Brooks as Leota, Adebayo, Freddie Stromer as Adrian Chase Vigilante, and Chuck Woody Uwuji as Clemson Mern. Peacemaker was created, written and mostly directed by Gunn, taking place after the Suicide Squad. The 8-episode first season sees Peacemaker recruited by Amanda Waller as Viola Davis, Argus to help save the effing world via Project Butterfly, in addition to delving into the seemingly merciless killer's past. Peacemaker deconstructs its main character and likely sets up more of the DCEU's Gunverse. The writer-director won't be parting ways with Warner Bros. DC anytime soon. He's repeatedly teased more projects after Peacemaker, but would it be the continuation of his Suicide Squad universe, or is he doing something else? Very interesting. In a recent interview with Collider, Gunn confirmed ongoing discussions with DC regarding future projects. You know we're stepping forward. It keeps happening. We'll see what's happening, and I know what's happening very shortly. I dealt with it last night. This morning, said Gunn. When asked if the project will be a movie or a television, Gunn replied, "It's TV. There you go." Gunn didn't say whether the next series will be another The Suicide Squad or Peacemaker spin-off. However, it seems probable that whatever it is will be teased in Peacemaker. In the same interview, Gunn talked about how he wouldn't release episode 8 of the series to critics because there's just too much happening. Brilliant. That's brilliant by James Gunn that he wants the audience to consume this without finding out any spoilers. Regardless, Gunn is currently hard at work with Marvel Studios, filming his final entry in his Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, which recently hit a production snag due to the Omicron variant. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is also set to release on Disney Plus near the end of 2022. We don't care about that, we're DC fans. Gunn, who has said he may need a break following Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, might only serve as a producer on the next DC project. This is absolute nonsense. He spoke about, he doesn't serve as a producer. This is a creative. They're talking nonsense. However, given his love for comic book characters and their stories, he'll most likely write and direct the next one like he did Peacemaker. You literally said both things. You're confusing people. Listen to me, everyone. I know what I'm talking about. He'll be writing and directing the next project. The latter series is already being praised by audiences and critics alike for its central performance, unique tone, action, humour, heart and soundtrack. Not to mention its outrageously brilliant opening dance sequence. When I see that, because Peacemaker is not yet available to me here in the UK, so when I see that opening sequence, I've seen bits of it, it's pretty cool. We'll talk about it. Whether the next series focuses on Harley Quinn, King Shark would be a fun series, a very ambitious one because of the CGI needed. But, Sly and James being involved in another project would be music to my ears. Or some other eccentric character from the panels and pages that has yet to have their day. It'll no doubt scream James Gunn, which is proving to be just the rebel yell the DCEU needed. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm glad he's going to be doing more projects. I think his strength is in streaming rather than cinematic movies. He pulled it off with Guardians of the Galaxy, but DC's a different animal, and because of the way the DC cinematic universe kicked off, people really do want something a bit really cinematic, and I just don't think the Suicide Squad IP is popular enough for the movie theatres, and I think HBO Max is the way to go. Now, by the way, I think we're very fortunate as DC fans. I think we have the best creatives working on the shows and movies. I think they're very interactive with us over on Twitter. And what they don't need is for us to attack them and abuse them, which a lot of fans are doing. Again, it's a small element of the Snyderverse fandom, because I love the Snyderverse DCEU movies, but I don't attack other directors. Do you think Zack Snyder's applauding you? No, he's apologising for you. You're representing him when you say you're his fans with your propaganda and your agenda, and I have a zero tolerance on anyone attacking other directors, either on my YouTube comments or on my other social media. People are working you people out, and understand what's going on now. Propaganda, hot takes after hot takes. It's an exciting year to be a DC fan, and I won't put up with any negativity. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection, and I'll see you again maybe tomorrow or the next day or whenever for even more DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen.